Hey, good morning. I'm Richard Rose. Welcome to Exit 1055 Long Island, your TV 1055 show about all things Long Island. In just a few moments, we'll talk with the Stony Brook professor whose work establishing the link between excessive nitrogen and the massive fish kills and algae blooms out east is now being honored by the Environmental Protection Agency. But we begin this morning with something drivers are noticing as we approach the Memorial Day holiday and the unofficial kickoff to summer. Rising gas prices. While still much lower than a year ago, gas prices have been rising steadily across the country the last month or so, up by about 40 cents in our area, or even a little bit more. Is it a part of a trend that will have us shelling out more this summer? Well, joining us now to help answer that question is Robert Sinclair. He's from AAA Northeast, and welcome to the show, Mr.
Thank you.
Sinclair. We've had you on frequently to talk about the up and down rise of gas prices, so we're used to this, but we've been kind of spoiled, right?
We have been spoiled. We're still about 35 or 40 cents cheaper than we were this time last year, and we saw prices bottom out. Nationally, we were at $1.69, and in New York City, $2.01, and Nassau, Suffolk, about $1.98, if I remember correctly. So that's pretty cheap, but we've seen prices go up, like you said, about 40 cents since those low winter prices.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of some of the prices we saw 20 years ago when it bottomed out, and you wondered, could this last? Nobody thought it could really last, but what's behind this rise now?
Price of crude oil is going up, and really demand. People are driving at rates that we normally see in the midsummer, and we're burning upwards of, believe it or not, 400 million gallons of gasoline per day in this country.
And what about the supply and demand issue of it? You know, a lot of times there'd be questions with inventory or if they shut down refineries. We had the Canadian wildfire.
That played a part. That played a part, yeah, because we import crude oil and we get about 2 million barrels a day from Canada. That got cut slightly as a result of the wildfires in those tar sands regions. But yeah, there's the video.
And that's where
terrible.
They produce oil from the oil sands, right? And a pretty big amount, too.
A large amount, 2 million barrels a day coming from there to the United States. But globally, there's a glut of crude oil. The Saudi Arabians are still pumping out to a great degree, upwards of 9 million barrels a day. Iran is now back in the market. They want to get back to about 1 million barrels per day. And with that, you know, the United States is a huge producer as well because of fracking. You know, we're upwards of 8 or 9 million barrels a day. But we also export a lot of product, and now we can export crude oil. Believe it or not, we couldn't do that until January of this year from a law back in the 70s when the Arab oil embargo happened. So there's so many things going on in the market. You know, June 1st, hurricane season starts, and just the worry of a storm hitting the Gulf Coast can cause the refineries to shut down, and you have spot shortages and price spikes in those regions. Everything is highly regionalized, everything is highly interconnected, so, you know, Saudi Arabia sneezes and America catches a cold.
So they still can affect us? Because I know we produce a lot of our own oil now to the point where we weren't importing as much as we used to, right?
Right. Well, the problem is that it's a globally produced and priced commodity. And so if because of something happening in the Middle East that the price of crude oil goes up, it goes up for all the crude oil around the world, so-called WTI, West Texas Intermediate, which is a U.S. base, and Brent crude oil, which is the European base.
Well, now you always project what's going to happen with the driving habits of folks. What are you predicting for the Memorial Day weekend? Because that's sort of like the beginning, the race is on, right?
Well, our numbers are coming out next week for the Memorial Day projections, but I'm anticipating that it's going to be busy. I mean, if we're already driving at rates that we see in the middle of August, in the middle of May, then it's probably going to be very busy. And gasoline is still relatively cheap. And last year we set a record for new car sales in this country, 17.5 million new vehicles on the road. And when you get a new car, you want to drive it.
So you get all these new cars, you get the relatively cheap gasoline prices, people driving more. What are the conditions of the roads that they're going to go out onto?
That's a bad situation. A few different organizations say that at least half our roads are in fair or poor condition, and it's even worse in the tri-state area. And interestingly, that takes us to the highway bill that Congress passed last year, $75 billion. But it's kind of smoke and mirrors where they're getting the money from to do this.
Well, explain that, because, you know, it came right up to the deadline, as everything always does with Congress, and then they approved a deal where supposedly it would keep the highway fund going, which is primarily funded by a gasoline tax.
Correct.
And that's how we fix our roads and bridges, and that was going to run out, and the roads and bridges are already in bad shape, and they came up with this deal. Now you're saying this deal is not quite what we thought it was?
Well, when you're talking about it's $75 billion, and $60 billion of that is a transfer from a surplus fund of the Federal Reserve. Who has $60 billion laying around? And there are all sorts of things that IRS going after scofflaws and passport scofflaws. And
this is where the money's going to come from?
This is where the money's come from.
Federal Reserve Fund with how much money?
$60 billion.
They have a Federal Reserve Fund with
Supposedly,
$60 billion.
Supposedly, I guess they're printing a lot of it. But, you know, we had advocated for a slight increase in the gasoline tax. The gasoline tax has not been raised since 1992. So it's 14 cents or 18 cents per gallon. We advocated for a nickel an increase. And with gas prices where they were, you know, when they were passing this bill, prices were on the way down. So an extra nickel, who would have noticed? Even now, who would notice? But they're playing all these games with the money, and it just seems very shaky. If it works, great. But I'm not sure that it can.
So you're saying we may not see this money materialize, or you're questioning whether or not it actually will?
That's what I'm questioning, and we are in such a bad state of affairs. There was a report last year, the American Highway Users Alliance identified bottlenecks across the country, and we had 5 of them. And a lot of time they're happening because of lousy road conditions or roads that are functionally obsolete, meaning they're handling far more traffic than they were designed to. So you get all this traffic funneling into a road that wasn't designed for it. The pavement conditions are poor. And, you know, it takes money to fix these things, and that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about trying to get the trucks off the roads because they do the the largest amount of damage by far compared to other vehicles because of their weight.
Right.
Cracking down on overweight trucks and even trying to get more freight type traffic on Long Island to get some of these trucks off our roadways.
Well, if there's one silver lining in the dark cloud, it seems that diesel prices are way, way down, and probably the reason is demand. A lot of people don't want diesel cars now because of the scandal with Volkswagen, the emission scandal. But believe it or not, something happening as far away as Central America is affecting the price of diesel. The new Panama Canal, the new Panamax Panama Canal is opening up. And so those giant ships, the biggest ship in the world now is a container ship, the Emma Maersk, and it can go all the way from Asia through the new Panama Canal to East Coast ports rather than stopping on the West Coast and having those trucks having to cross country to bring the goods from the West Coast to the East Coast. So that's a lot less demand for diesel fuel, and that makes the price go down.
Really is a small world we're living in.
Yeah, it really is. And,
it's all
how
connected
things far away can affect what's happening with us.
Well, thanks for filling us in on all the components that are leading into why we have low gas prices that are now starting to creep back up and what we can expect from the holiday traffic jams that we know will be there.
That's right.
And whether the roads will be fixed, still an open question.
Very much open.
Thank you very much. Robert Sinclair, AAA Northeast, thanks for the look ahead as folks get ready for some serious holiday travel. And when we